It seems like this year that we can't get away from this drastic change in weather that we keep getting. We've just had a weekend where the temperatures reached about 85 degrees, and today it's dropped down to 70. This coming Monday it's going back up to 95, which is going to cause lots of problems for plants because the shifts are too big at this time of the year. And if you've seen any of my previous videos, you'll know that I've got about 3 cauliflowers that seem to be doing quite well in garden. But we always have problems with cauliflowers in this part of the country. Whereas if we get big shifts in weather, they just go to seed. They'll completely open up and then they're no good. And because these cauliflowers that I've got are quite a good size, I'm not going to take that risk. So I'm going to take a small harvest today of those, just so I get something for my effort. Because I guarantee if I leave it until next Tuesday, after this heat wave comes in, and then it drops back down to 70 again, these will just bolt and that'll be it. So let's go and get them. So these are those cauliflowers. So let's get them out. We'll take them out and secure ourselves at least a few meals out of them. So I'll just give them a twist. So we've took those cauliflowers anyway, so now we'll strip them back a little bit. So that's his cauliflower harvest. And if you look at these cauliflowers, you can see they were starting to try and split open. Once they start doing that, in just a couple of days, these will be gone. The same with this one, just starting to separate. And again with this one. So there's no way that these cauliflowers would have lasted more than a few days as the weather is. So once that 95 hits, these would have just completely blown and basically been no good for anything other than compost. But at least now we've got a little bit of an harvest from it. So basically that shows you just how much of a difference a drastic change in weather can make to your crops. To go from looking perfectly fine a couple of days ago, they're now starting to try and separate. And as they do that, they'll also start and lose that whiteness and just look unappealing. So we'll get these cleaned up, we'll get them in the fridge, and we'll have to get these used quite quickly because they'll not store for long. So maybe a cauliflower cheese or something like that. And while we're actually in the process of harvesting plants like that, because we have to, we're going to want to replace them with something else as soon as we can. So I'm going to put some more Durham cabbages in. But these are quite small seedlings, so they need growing on for a few weeks first before we plant them outside. So I'm going to pop 12 in there, let them grow on, and we'll get that space filled then as soon as possible. That's why you always need to have plants growing on at different stages through the year, because then you know you've got a plant that you can put in place of something that's had to be harvested early. So we'll get some of these cabbages in here. Just going to water it first. It makes it easier to get the seedlings in that way. So as soon as that water's settled down a bit, we're going to make deep holes. If you've seen me do this before, you'll know why I do this. That's because when we take these seedlings out, they're quite long. They've grown quite tall. And that's a mixture at this time of year of lack of light or getting too hot will do it as well. So we need to bury these right down to there, because otherwise you'll get a plant that continues to grow tall, and then when you plant it outside it will then fall over as it's growing, and then it's more susceptible from damage from slugs. So we'll just take away some of this compost and we're going to bury this right down. You can see it's got really good roots on it, and we need to get all those roots into these holes. That's why we make the holes so deep as well. So poke those roots in like that and then force it right down, and we'll firm it in as well. So then your plant looks like that, and that's perfect. And as we're going through these, I will be taking the bigger plants. This one has got 2 plants, but we only want 1, so 1 has to go. And obviously that's always going to be the smallest one. Again, long roots. So again, get all that root in there best way you can, then feed that whole plant right down, right up to those first leaves that came out, and then we'll firm it in as well. And then you're all done. Nice, deeply buried, stable little plants. And you've now got 12 cabbages there, growing on, ready to put outside once they're big enough. You want to get them to a good size before you put them out as well. And then the same principle applies when you plant them outside. They'll have a longish stem and then a V, and you plant it right down to that V, and that will keep your plant stable all the way through the season while it's growing. Anyway, they're set up. I'm going to take these cauliflowers in, give them a good clean up, because another problem with cauliflowers and cabbages that start to split and open up, it can let insects inside. So you've got to strip them down and give them a really good wash. And then we'll get those cooked up or something this afternoon. But although the cauliflower harvest is not what we wanted it to be, which again is not our fault, it's the weather that's causing this, at least we have that opportunity where we can decide to take a small harvest rather than end up with nothing at all. And if you want to see how these other plants get on as we keep going through this strange weather season, then please just hit that subscribe button, press that notifications bell, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.